Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome, my rock stars, to another episode of Rocket Live. Here we are, as we do every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, coming to you live again with another awesome episode and another amazing guest I have today on board, Mr. Yosef Domnitz. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
Very good, very good. So we're going to be talking with Yosef today and hearing all about his amazing company, what he's been up to, how he's helping others, and how he's utilizing Clubhouse to build his business and grow a community. Before we dive into that, I do want to just welcome everybody. If you're watching us live, awesome. Thank you so much. Feel free to comment and chat as we go, as we're doing this live. You can interact with us, so feel free to put your questions and comments in the chat as we go along here today, and we will answer them or bring your comments up on the screen. For those of you watching a replay, welcome. Thank you so much, and we hope you can join us live next Tuesday at 4 p.m. And for those of you listening to the audio version of this, welcome as well. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening to this. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to this on an audio podcast, hit that subscribe button. So that way you get notified every single time we drop a new episode of Rocket Live, Rocket Growth Agency podcast. My name is Chris Bagley. I am the host of the show. I am the owner and CEO of Rocket Growth Agency, and I am your personal branding business coach, ready to serve and help you wherever I can. I'd like to quickly thank my show sponsor. We have an official show sponsor this week, and that is the Coffee with Carrie podcast. Make sure you head over to the Coffee with Carrie podcast. I've been a guest on that show. It's an amazing show. I had a great time. You can watch that show on YouTube, and more importantly, you can listen to it anywhere you listen to podcasts, and really super excited to have Coffee with Carrie podcast as our official show sponsor moving forward for the next bunch of weeks. I'm also sporting my new Morning Spotlight t-shirt, courtesy of the Morning Spotlight, Mr. Mike Hammond, the Morning Spotlight, who we've also had on a guest, as well as Carrie. So it's just a big old party, and I'm really happy. So thanks so much for sending me the shirt, Mike. Really appreciate it, and I'm happy to be rocking it here. And with that, I want to welcome our guest once again. Yosef, how are you, sir?
Thanks, Chris. Good. Red suits you. It's a nice t-shirt.
Yeah, I don't usually rock red, but I feel like with this background and stuff, it's popping out pretty good.
It's a good color.
Yeah. So I appreciate you coming on today and spending a little time with us and chatting about and sharing everything that you. Yosef is the founder and CEO of EPC Solutions up in our neighbors of the north, up in Canada. You're based in Canada.
Exactly, yes, so Toronto. So been here about nearly 8 years now, actually. Came over from the UK, if you can, hear in the accent. And so basically, I started this company it was 4.5 years ago. really as an independent consultant within the construction industry. I'd worked beforehand for large corporations and then saw a niche and broke out from the corporate life into serving individual smaller companies. And the whole goal was to take the knowledge that I'd gained within the corporate environment and bring it down to the smaller organizations that just don't have access to that kind of training and that kind of knowledge. And you can see with the whole COVID situation and things being locked down, there's been a lot more being able to connect with people, a lot more smaller businesses that have started that need help. And with that, it's kind of taken a turn from EPC Solutions, which is my main consulting, to starting everything in Construction Club within Clubhouse. And our mutual friend got us involved, Joe Applebaum, on Clubhouse. And it was just one of those things, go for it. And I'm a co-host with Gloria Fuentes in Everything in Construction. And we just started a group, and we're about 1,300 members and growing strong. And really the whole idea is to offer value. It's like yourself, there's a lot of people that have got a lot of knowledge, and this is really the new way that things are going to pan out, is people can connect all over the world. People can share knowledge. I've got a couple of mentors, and one of them always says, life is too short to learn from your own mistakes. Learn from people that have grown and that have been through that pain. And there's so many people that it can help, especially around the world. And we have people all the way from like Saudi Arabia, Dubai, South America on the Clubhouse groups that we have. We have about 3 of them dotted throughout the week. And it's just amazing to meet all these people. And that's why I met you, Chris, Clubhouse, and you, Joe. So it's an amazing technology, now think about it, rewind 2 years and think about how many people will be getting on live shows from different places in the world and just talking about how they can serve the people. It definitely moved in the right direction. And there's so much access. Think about a library. You had to go into a brick building. Now you can just go online and everything's there. So
absolutely. It's changed so much and evolved very, very fast, for sure, with technology and communications and being able to reach out and communicate with everybody around. Just the outreach has been incredible. What I wanted to just focus in a little bit on too is actually your background in construction. I don't have a ton of construction professionals on the show normally, it's just great. So this is just a really good opportunity, I think, for myself and for the audience to learn a little bit more about what you do, because I think oftentimes people think of construction and they just think of like your GC, right, your traditional GC, but see, you're coming at it from a whole other end where you're consulting, and so I want to dive in a little bit more and just talk about like the core of what you're doing, so that way people understand like what kind of services you're providing.
Oh, it's an amazing question, because when I went into engineering originally, everyone thought, right, an engineer, you get your hands dirty, you're out in the field all day. It's a really dirty job. And people don't realize majority of engineers, they sit in a desk behind a computer a lot of the time. And engineering is so multifaceted. And I started, I'm dyslexic, so I'm a proud dyslexic. And, through LinkedIn and through social media, I've helped people like Richard Branson that really push dyslexic. You find your strength. It's like anything within business. Find your strength. And I found my strength after not doing so well in school because of being dyslexic. And I chose engineering because engineering had a practical aspect and it also had the theoretical aspect. And I managed to put those together. And I started from scratch to do a college degree in engineering, and then moved into get a degree. And majority of the time, I chose construction just because that's where I love developing stuff. One of the things in construction is you can actually, as an engineer, take a concept, as they call it, from cradle to grave. You can develop a concept, and a lot of the larger projects, a lot of the infrastructure projects, you can design it on paper, go out to site, construct it, commission it, hand it over. It's rare to be able to see something through, but engineering has so many different areas that you can go into. And I mentor a couple of young engineers to help them through, because I understand that when I went out on my own, I was on my own, didn't really have much. You've got to think, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, there wasn't this technology. I'm like, right, you've got to leverage LinkedIn. You've got to be, there's so much that you can do out there. And I help the younger students because it's like anything. In a lot of areas in construction, we do not have young blood coming through the system, and that's one of the reasons why we started the Everything in Construction Club, is to help and to educate the younger generation, because we need people to come through the ranks to be able to build the future. So engineering is phenomenal. So you can, to start through from the engineering side is
right.
you can do. There's so many different aspects to engineering. Engineering is you can do civil engineering, you can do structural engineering, you can do electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, software engineering. Mm-hmm. This is all within the construction industry. When I started out, I did mechatronics, which is mechanical, electronical, and software interface engineering, which is more robotics. And the idea was I enjoyed the interfacing. So if you think about a robot, you've got to take the mechanical, you've got to take the electrical, and you've got to bring it all together. And that's really helped me through my life. And especially now when you see, and this is already 20 years ago when everyone was like, mechatronics, I'm not really sure what's going on. There's a neighbor of mine, a young guy that's just started mechatronics. And I was like, wow, like it's being people are taking on. You got to think the Tesla is all mechatronics.
Right.
It's all mechanical, electrical, and software. So this is everything, all automation, everything that we do online here. A lot of it's, there's very little mechanical, but it's a lot of software and automation. So really, it's a solid. I always say engineering is one of those careers that's a solid career. You can work in all industries with engineering. Most boards of larger corporations have an engineer on their board. And it's phenomenal. I know accountants that originally started off engineering and they went into accountancy. There's even surgeons that started off in engineering and then transferred into surgery. So it's a really good basis education. And it's not, as you say, it's not like when you think about construction, you can decide once you get an engineering degree within construction, you either do engineering or you go into project management. So you either look at the engineering side and you manage all the engineering, or you say, no, I want to go into the management of engineering and then go into the management of the projects. So that's really the two streams that you have. You can also become a consultant like myself, which is more of the management side. But it's definitely, as I say, it's not as dirty as what people think. I mean, you can pick and choose, what you do. And some huge corporations are engineering and construction corporations that do a lot of the design and development of projects.
Yeah, and you really said a lot of really great things there, and a lot of key things. And one of the things I did want to ask you though is because you were talking a lot about, like, since you've been, working, and the things that how you've evolved, and you mentioned it too, even like looking at the Tesla and the technology being used there. I mean, what have you seen to be some of the biggest changes or differences, or what have you seen over time to be the biggest differences in, or I'll even say it, not even differences, but the biggest growth have you seen in the construction industry as a whole?
So funnily enough, the construction industry, and everybody thinks their industry is the one that's lagging behind. And
right.
Plenty of, but the construction industry really is at the bottom, and healthcare is, they used to be lower down, and they're slowly moving over, because I deal with some projects in healthcare as well, but even in construction, and that's all to do with engineering. So where things have come into play, I think you've got to think that with the tools and technologies that we have now, engineering, and I sometimes think it's a double-edged sword. So you can change things, at the flip of a switch. So it's very, very easy for design creep to come in, because it's easy on a CAD drawing. It's all automated. In the old days, you've got to think people used to draw things by hand. CAD was limited. Now everything's automated. It's very, very fast. You can just send an email to an office. Somebody changes stuff. So in the construction, so sometimes when I say that's a double-edged sword, is because the changes it means scope creep. So what happens is you change something down the line, you're not sure what kind of effect it's going to have. So you have to be really careful when it comes to changes. So we can change things really, really quick. But at the same time, you've also got to just be careful, because it can also affect the project as a whole. Technology that's being utilized, they're really, really pushing up construction management software. So there's some very, very big construction management software players that are coming into the market now. There's a use of drones. So drones is a huge one to monitor what's going outside. And it's not just to take pictures at site. I used to do solar farms, build solar farms, and one of the issues that they had was maintenance. If you think about an 800-acre site of a solar farm, and you've got to monitor and what's going on with the solar panels, you can actually put heat sensing devices on these drones, and they fly around, and they'll tell you which panels are broken and which aren't working as efficiently as it is. So when you look at technology, there's so much technology that's being implemented. There's now sensors that they can put within concrete, and this all goes back to engineering. Sensors in concrete that tell you how fast the concrete's curing. So all these additional things, the old school construction has pretty much stayed the same. That the equipment's got, the equipment's bigger and better, and there's some more automation with construction equipment. You have now machines that can lay bricks, which is pretty cool, because we're suffering of a labor shortage. So people are actually looking at how can we automate some of these processes. So a lot of this automation, it hasn't been fully adopted yet, because I'm sure that a lot of these tools are really, really expensive. So
Right.
You have to have a justification of how much you're going to spend versus how much a labor is going to spend. But it has really moved up the notch. And I've got friends that work in the automation realm within factories, and a lot of automation, especially in the States and in Canada, in Europe, they've been doing it for quite a while already, has come into play now because of COVID, because they can't have, think about it, you're in a crowded warehouse or a manufacturing plant, and you can't have 100 employees like you used to. You maybe only have 25% capacity. So they're starting to look at how can I automate this? And that's started. So it's the same kind of thing that's happening within construction, is how can they automate some of the processes? But we're still lagging behind. But a lot of the automation tools where you can use your phone, where you can use your tablets, where you can use computers to keep and file data, that's one of the biggest pushes within the construction industry, and everything else has kind of fallen in behind that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, and you're right. Like everybody always says, everybody's industry is lagging behind this and that. But when you start to break it down like that, I mean, that sounds to me like there's definitely a lot of room for growth and expansion there. With as much as technology has come on, and being able to utilize it in these, the different areas that you're working on. What have you seen, I guess, from your side? Like, what are, I guess, the average or the majority of the types of projects you're specifically working on?
So I've been involved previously, and I was in the transmission and distribution, which is high energy and power projects. So the grid, basically, and renewables. So I've been involved with offshore wind, onshore solar, and then biogas plants. So you've got to think, even with those technologies, you've got to think wind. When in the UK, you're talking about just technology for renewable.
Right.
When I started off, the turbines now are 3 to 4 times more efficient than they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So you can see how technology is moving. So when we put in 180 turbines in the sea, think about it. If you could increase by 4 times, it's a huge amount for a very similar cost, because you've got to think the turbine is a small cost of the project. If everything else is increased by 4%, about 400 times, 4 times, then basically it's huge output. It's the same with solar panels. Solar panels, they started off and they've already increased by 50% from when we started. So think about the same geographical area, you can add on 40%. So technology already there has increased. Biogas is now a huge thing. In Europe, it's big. Always, Europe seems to adopt these technologies a lot quicker than we do.
Yeah.
Canada's a bit slow. The US is pushing. So the US is pushing a lot for biogas, and it's amazing. You think all your waste. So in Canada now, they started with the municipalities, all the green bin waste. So all the vegetation, anything that's vegetable, edibles, organic stuff can basically go into a digester. In 45 days, it's producing gas. So you got to think a lot of milk farms are using it. So and these are the kind, I've always specialized in very unique projects. And I just finished building one in Toronto, and we're looking at a few more now. I'm working with a technology expert in biogas generation, and it's amazing how you think that you can take garbage and you can turn it into power. And it's amazing because a lot of the CO2 that's coming out of basically a lot of the methane and gases that are coming out into the atmosphere are from garbage dumps. And if you think that you can recycle, so there's a huge push for recycling. But if you can take all the vegetative waste and turn it into energy, it's amazing. It's pretty cool, and it's very, very small footprint. Not much. You've got to think that the output of the biogas at the end is you either pump it onto the gas, so you either burn it as a gas, or you within homes or factories, or what you do is you you can actually turn it into a gas power generator, so and that can make power. So it just depends what your output is, and then the waste of that is an organic fertilizer. So it's not as strong as the regular fertilizers, but it can still be applied to land to help with growth of food. So phenomenal technology. And this is, where you think, where you like push up the envelope and start creating these things. And that's what I loved as being an engineer. They always tell me engineer's job is to take the impossible and make it possible. There's always a way, you've just got to find it. And that's what I love. I've always, I love the construction. I love the engineering, because no matter, it's every time you take on a new project, you may be following the same processes, but there's always new challenges. There's always something new. And the more you push out the boat to technology, the more there is to discover. And I love that. And it's always, and dealing direct with owners, you're always trying to see what's the most cost effective way, how, within construction, how can we build these projects cheaper? How can we make them more efficient? And also looking at the long term of projects. The long term of projects is what happens when they decommission. So in the old days, it used to be like, oh, you just decommission a plant and just let it rot. Whereas now a lot of government mandates are looking at how efficient is the plant, and what's going to happen at the end if you do commission a site. What does it look like at the end? Is it going to go back to the natural habitat, or is it going to how is the plant going to degrade at the end of its lifespan?
Right.
So it's all so much involved with the engineering and construction.
Yeah, definitely, and this is why I find what you're saying to be like just fast, because once again, it's not my world at all, and even like I said on this show, we don't have a ton of professionals in construction engineering come on, so all the things that you're saying are just, it's fast because it's such another world for me, and this experience I have when you and I talk on Clubhouse too, and I listen to you talk, and we get in these conversations, and it's just. I find it very interesting, because it's you said it too, like if you can, with engineering, it's like somebody has to think about it to be able to create it, and like it just doesn't happen. So it has to be planned, it has to be thought out before you can get to even building it. And I just find that wild. And it's like everything you do, every bridge you drive over, every road you go through, every building you walk into, the car you're driving, like, even this technology here that we're using to do all this, like it's created by an engineer, someone engineered this. And it's fascinating. It's very cool work that you're doing. And, and it is, like you said earlier too, like there's an engineer for all these different aspects of whether it's construction, technology, software, whatever it is that you're creating, an engineer has to work on it. And so I find that very cool. I do want to talk a little bit about, because listen, you and I met on, and I feel like, as I say almost every week, I catch myself saying this, but it's like, it's an endless parade, but it's great because of Clubhouse, because of the advent of which now everybody's but social audio. That's the buzzword. Everybody's social audio. Everybody's going to have their own social audio platform. But the one I started on was Clubhouse back in December. And then you and I met through a group. Joe Applebaum started that group, and it was great. And I met a ton of people. And so this is what I've loved about Clubhouse, is the fact that I've been able to connect with you. You live in Canada, in Toronto. And, you and I have connected. You're on the show. We talk. And for you, I think for all of us, we all started creating like different things, different clubs. But you really have created like a really nice community. You've done some good partnerships and collaborations with some of the folks that, you and I have both mutually met on Clubhouse. And you mentioned it before, and I do want to talk about this because I feel like it's very important for people to understand what's going on in Clubhouse and how it can really be utilized in business to grow business, but also to help others. And you were talking a lot about the club that you started, the Everything Construction Club on Clubhouse. So why don't you talk about that, how it sort of started and where it's evolved now? Because I love the mission of this club. I think it's awesome what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. So like you, I was we follow Joe. So he mentioned I think he mentioned something about Clubhouse, and I think it was a post on LinkedIn he put on Clubhouse, and he says, and at that time you needed an invite, and I was like, well, how do I get an invite? So Joe was like, I'll give you an invite, no problem. So I'm in, and then I'm like, hours and hours of this listening, and it was, you got to think it started really in the middle of COVID, and everyone was at home, and there was like
No one had anything else to do.
Exactly. And you were listening, hours. And I was thinking, this is interesting. And as part of that, I bumped in on LinkedIn to a lady who's very successful in the construction space in New York. And I believe you know Gloria.
Yep, Gloria Fuentes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so so I said to Gloria, I said, look, you're doing the same thing that I'm doing. We're both consultants, right? Why don't we just team up together and half the work? We're both here. If we can help each other, why not? And if we can help other people, then why not? So we just said, let's see how it goes. And from there, it just kind of started. Like Joe's always been one of the things that Joe has always been like, just try it. The worst thing, and that's my motto in life. When I started out with engineering, I was like, just try it. If it doesn't work, just go back. You can always go back. It's how did I end up in Canada? I ended up in Canada. It was a job offer, and I was like, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we can always turn around. 8 years later, we're still here. Thank God, I'm being very successful. So we just said, let's go for it. And the whole idea is that, again, there's a lot of people, and I find it more and more. There's a huge buzz now within the US of people buying and flipping houses and buying property and trying to develop it, and a lot of smaller contractors. And I've always, sometimes the construction industry gets a bad rep. Like you said, it's a dirty industry. It's not, it can be seen. It's like anything. There's
any industry,
good apples and there's bad apples.
There's good and bad.
Exactly. So we just said, look, you know what? Let's try and develop this club and help. And there's a couple of other construction clubs, and we've collaborated with a lot of people on Clubhouse. And really, the whole idea is to educate people within construction. And as I said, we have 3 rooms during the week. We have one on Tuesday, which was trades at 1 o'clock. We have, and this is another person we met through Clubhouse who does business strategy, and business strategy is, and on the website you can find the club, and the schedules are put up every week, and basically we're just out there to help people. There's a lot of people that are starting out in the development space, and we've met a lot of people in the real estate where they're just struggling to try and find their feet, to try and work out what's going on. A lot of projects, it's challenging. Construction projects are really, really challenging. And as I said, through the experience I've got, through the experience Gloria's got, and there's a load of people that we've met up with and that are moderators within our club, tons of experience. And we're out there to help people. And we have students that come on. This time of year, there's a lot of students that come and ask us questions just about how do they get into the industry, how do they find their footing. They're engineers. They want to know what's going on. We also have loads of experience. We have a woman who's based in BC in Canada, and she's looking at developing renewable homes out of shipping containers. She understands the project, but she needs help with the project management. So the idea for us is to go in and we've got like the 90-day journey on there. And the idea is to take one aspect, and it's like what you do, Chris. You take one aspect. You can't deal with the whole organization in one go. The idea is that we take one aspect we spend 90 days and we work on one aspect. We're going to be doing a Zoom conference in the next month and a half to start breaking down the construction cycle. And one of the first things, like anything that you talk about, is probably marketing strategy. We have the project charter, and the most critical thing of like anything, and this is again, Joe's course teaches it, is that you need to have your vision. You need to understand your vision. Every project, you can't just go out there and say, right, I'm just going to go off the whim. I'm going to develop something. And critical is to have the project charter. So we're going to spend like 90 minutes, which is normally what we do, to basically run through what a project charter is. And that's what we've been doing on Clubhouse. On Clubhouse, we've been sharing tons of knowledge. 1 hour a week is the project management room, which is my room. And we, as I said, we have different moderators that in our club, and anybody that is in the construction industry that really wants to get involved, just drop us a line, reach out to us through the website. It's like you can come and join. We're open to having people collaborate. It's amazing what can be achieved, what I've learned as being an entrepreneur is that you can't go at it at your own. You always need help. There's people that you're going to support you, that are going to lead you, that are going to help you through your journey. And that's what we're doing in the construction industry. As I've always said, there's a lot of miscommunication within the construction industry. There's a lot of people have quite negative experience, especially with like home building. A lot of them, we don't get involved so much with home building, but we have partners that we work with that help with that system. We have architects that have designed amazing software that can help you with the home renovations. We have a lot of home renovation people that come on. We've dealt now and on through Clubhouse, and this is all over the U.S. Our club is generally North America's, as in Canada, all the way down to Mexico, US, everything. We have people all coming. As I said, we have people that come on now from South Africa, from United Emirates, Saudi Arabia. It's amazing how
it really is.
You can, and we share knowledge. The whole idea is to share knowledge. We discuss strategies, and then we offer, through the website, we offer more in-depth discussions on construction if you want one-to-ones. But Clubhouse has been an amazing tool to meet so many people. There's groups that are involved with ADUs, which are small dwellings that people are now putting in the back of property, because everyone's looking for an income that's that can supplement.
Supplemental income. Yes.
And there's a huge, people have got land. There's a lot of property owners that have got land, and they put these small dwellings on the land, and they can rent them out, and there's people looking for housing. So there's a whole group that are just dealing with ADUs. There's all the real estate people, and it's amazing the contacts and how many. And I've grown, as a person. It's not just me offering advice. At the same time, people are asking me questions. I'm also growing. I'm meeting people. All sorts of people that are doing, some amazing things within the construction and development world. So it's been a real, it's a real game changer, and it's been really, really successful. How many people we've met, and how many people we mentor, and how many people we train in the construction industry.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is amazing. I agree with you on everything you said about, how, Clubhouse has really, helped a lot of people, helped a lot of businesses. And I know it's kind of in vogue right now to bash on Clubhouse a bit, and myself included. I've definitely done my fair share of forget this app. But you know what? I will also say that without it, I wouldn't have met you. There's a lot of people I wouldn't have met. There's a lot of collaborations that I would have never gotten involved in had it not been for Clubhouse. So, as you said before, there's good and bad with everything, and Clubhouse for me personally has been a great experience with the people I've met, the communities I've got involved in. And, to your point, you meet people from all over the world, and you learn a lot, which is, it's not just coming on there and selling and all that. It really is about connecting and finding, like-minded people to connect with, and whether they're doing the exact same thing you're doing or something different, or they're, completely different industry altogether. It's just finding the right core group of people, and then helping each other, developing and creating resources. And that's why I love what you've done, because you've taken a platform and really created this nice community where it's a place where people can grow, learn, and you're not sitting there peddling products and all these other things. If they want to coach with you and go deeper, then great, fine, sure, let's have a call and we'll see where it goes. But to be in the club, it's not, you're not sitting there and sliding into people's DMs and saying, hey, for $10,000 I'll change your life or anything like that. You guys are really coming from a very cool and honest spot with this club, and have, I think, created a very good community where people can learn, develop resources. I've tried to jump in every now and then, because even though it's not my industry, I do find it fascinating to hear the conversations, and I think that's of value too. So And
it's amazing how many people we have. People jumping in who are marketers, and they've just known one of us, and they, as I said, marketers. And what people underestimate is the industry is one of the biggest industries. If you look at how many, I can't even remember how big the construction industry, but think about how many other businesses support the construction industry. Construction industry, marketing, communications. People don't realize that there's a massive, and a lot of these people, it's through their blood. So it's generational. So they're slowly generational. And you've got to think a lot of the people in construction, I think the average age in the US in the construction is late 40s. Mm-hmm. So you've got to think that how difficult is it for people that are out there every day using, you know, in on the field, you know, in the field, that, you know, so they don't like to use mobile phones, a lot of them, or smartphones. Technology is a bit pushed to the side, but inevitably you need to use it these days. And yeah, there's a whole shift in mindset, and they need support. And that's really what, you know, we've been doing. We're dealing with people that have, you know, that need that help, to just bridge that gap. And it's like anybody, you can't learn everything in 1 week or in a year. You've got to help.
Impossible.
Yeah, so, exactly. So what you got to do, you got to slowly, and this is, we've been working with people, and that's, as I said, you know, I love the feedback from the clubs, because a lot of people give us really good feedback, and it's there to educate. We're not there to, you know, it's. And one of the things is that, yes, you can get sucked into Clubhouse and you can spend hours and hours and hours on it. But I've also found, you know, from certain people, we make our rooms an hour. You know, we have a networking once a month as well. That's a 90-minute, because it's a bit more longer networking, and that's a special. But when we go into just talking about construction, it's an hour. We're all busy. We're not going to sit there and, you know, I prepare an hour's worth of material. We talk through it. And if anybody wants to contact us, which they do on Instagram, now, of course, you can connect through the Clubhouse app to talk to us, message us directly. Yeah. They can just do that offline, and also the website. So many ways to connect, but again, it's keeping it focused, and that's what we always try and do, is keep everything focused, keep it sharp. You know, it's an hour of our time, and that's how I've realized that people follow us from room to room and from week to week, because they know we're there at the same time, we're there for an hour, that's it. There's nothing, you know, you're not going to spend, I've been in rooms, trust me, I've been in rooms 3-4 hours long, and you're just like, oh, you know, I know. And it can just go on and on and on. And you're just like, but, and I also find it unfair to the family and children, you know, I've got kids and family. So, you know, I'm running around with these earphones and helping, and I'm just, you know, so I'm like, so you have to, it's like anything, you have to be careful. And it's really, I mean, my coaches have always said, you need to be focused. It's like, and I'm sure, you know, Chris, when you put your marketing plan, everything is focused. You put together a plan, you have this funnel, and you focus. And that's what we did. That's what we've spent. We've spent the past, you know, 3 or 4 months really focusing in on what our strengths are. And it's like, yeah, everybody that goes out in business, it's the same kind of thing. What is your focus? Where can you offer value? And we've, you know, through it, it's really, you know, it's a hobby of ours that's, you know, that's really come into, you know, Gloria and I have spent a lot of time, a lot of effort on it, and you know, it's been a pleasure to meet everybody, and the discussions are amazing. And I find also, as an independent consultant, how do you keep at the top of your game? You have to keep learning, you have to keep reading, and you have to keep interacting with people in the industry. And this is one of the ways to do it. And when you make really good, meaningful relationships, it's great. And as you know, I've been taught, it's not just about the app. Any platform that you use, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's your website or anything, you need to build those relationships offline, which is like what we've done. We met in a group that was very specific, but we've also managed to grow outside of that as well. And really, you know, you can only really keep in touch with 150 connections immediately.
Yeah.
But that grows. You've got to think those 150 also have 150 connections. So if you think it's a small pool, it's a huge pool of people. But it's building relationships. Some people you build a good relationship. Some people they drop off. It just depends on how much time and effort you want to put in.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, well said. I mean, it takes time, it takes effort to grow, and nothing happens overnight. You have to put the time in to grow relationships. I mean, it's like anything you do, and there's no, I feel like a broken record. I've said this a billion times over with almost every guest that's come on, because we ultimately talk about this. There's no quick fire way to just go. You don't go from 0 to 100 in 90 days. You know, sometimes it doesn't even happen in a year. It takes time, and it takes perseverance. It takes patience, and it really takes building relationships to do that.
And yeah, I've been to seminars where people have basically, you know, they've said they've chased somebody for like 2 years until the deal came through. And it takes time. It does take time. But it's people, they need to trust you first. People need to trust you. They need to know who you are. You need to build your brand. They need to see that you're genuine. And now I think, in a way, technology has helped us, and in a way it's hindered us, because there's so much being thrown at us now. It's impossible to keep everything in your head. And I was reading a book yesterday, and I've forgotten the name of the guy's thing. It was but basically it's the strategy of how to be productive. David, I can't remember his name now. David something. Mm-hmm. And it was showing. He was showing on how you can be more. He said the mind is there to be productive. The mind is there to solve problems. The problem is that we have our mind think of a million things at once that we can't deal with. And he was showing you strategy of how you should get all these down into tasks, which is what I've started to do. So he calls them tasks and projects. And he says, if it's a 2-minute task, you should be doing it straight away. If something pops in your head, you should do it straight away. Because if you have all this stuff in your head that's open, that's taking your energy, you can't be creative. So what you need to do is clear your mind, which is where the whole meditation comes in, and then you can be creative. So again, Clubhouse, any kind of app, you have to have a strategic plan and decide what you want to do, and then you can be creative.
Absolutely, very well said. I love the way you just summed that up. That was excellent. It's a great way to wrap things up for us. I can't even believe it's already been 40 minutes. It's unbelievable. But this was such a great conversation, Yosef. I'm so glad that we were able to finally make this happen. I feel like we talked about this like 5 months ago.
Oh, we did.
Getting you on the show, and I'm so glad we finally were able to connect and make it happen. But before we split, and I know I've been flashing things up on the screen between Everything Construction, everythinginconstruction.com, the Clubhouse club on Clubhouse, but the club on Clubhouse is called Everything Construction. We've talked about that. There are tons of links in the show notes. So if you're watching this live or watching the replay, all you have to do is go into the post and you'll see the links. If you're listening to this in the show notes, you'll see the links to all of Yosef's different ways to connect with him. But Yosef, why I got you here, what's the best way for people to connect with you if they want to learn more?
So LinkedIn is my preferred platform, and you can just go Yosef LinkedIn. So that's YOSEF LinkedIn.com. Easy. Yosef LinkedIn.com. We'll take you straight to there.
Awesome. And make sure you visit Yosef's website for his company, EPCSolutions.ca. Once again, these links are in the show notes. So if you want to click on them, feel free to do that. And you can always connect with them on IG as well. And with that, I really want to thank you for coming on today, Yosef. This was wonderful. I learned a lot. I could listen to you talk all day long about things in engineering. Yeah, well, that's it. That's why I like going. I like sneaking into the club on Clubhouse so I can hear what's going on, because it really is fascinating, and it's such a different world from the things I do. Even though there's a ton of similarities and crossover, and we're talking about creativity, which that's a whole other conversation I would love to have with you, because there is so much creativity that goes into doing what you do specifically, and what I do and what everybody else does. And for people out there that don't think that you're being creative, like, they're completely wrong. So and look, you got the Dio is going to connect with you shortly. There you go.
Thank you, Dio.
Awesome. So I want to thank everybody for watching today. Thank you for watching live. We will be back next week with another episode of Rocket Live every Tuesday at 4:00. Feel free to also visit my links. They're in the show notes and in these posts as well. You can always connect with me over at Instagram. You can go to my website, rocketgrowthagency.com. And I also have a brand new group, an awesome online group that I am so happy to have started. It's an online group. It's all about group coaching. It's called the Let's Rock Group, letsrockgroup.com. Brings you right there. I host it on Mighty Networks. When you sign up, you get 7 days for free. And this group is all about helping you to get noticed, helping you to stand out. I go live in that group 3 times a month, plus all kinds of contents posted in there. So we'd love to have you in there. So go over to letsrockgroup.com, sign up today, get free 7 days, and hopefully you dig it and check it out. Because if you feel like you're screaming into the void and no one cares, or you feel like no one cares what you're saying or anything, this group is all for you, and this is what we help you to overcome. So you're not sitting there screaming into the void, and people notice you and see you for who you are, your authentic, true self. So thank you once again, my friend. I really appreciate you coming on today. And everybody, please make sure you connect with Yosef out there. Connect with him, hit him up, go on Clubhouse. Even if you're not into construction, I highly recommend you go visit that club, because I'm telling you, you're going to learn a lot of great people to connect with. And as Yosef was saying, not everybody in that group is construction. You know, you have marketers, you have all kinds of other professional service folks, and just people who just want to learn, you know. So
thank you very much. Yeah, Chris, it's been a pleasure again to connect.
Yes.
It's you know, you're always full of life. It's great. It's what.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Goes round.
Yeah. We always have fun, man. This is great. All right, everybody. Thank you. And we will see you next time. And always remember, be authentic, be yourself, and always remember to rock it. See you guys next Tuesday.